With Liverpool and Barcelona both facing worrying and troubling issues this season, I wanted to discuss with you today what is going wrong with both these teams. Now, for me personally, watching Barcelona in La Liga and also watching Liverpool in the Premier League, something is not right. And today, we're going to be discussing that in this video. But before we go any further, make sure you smash a like. Don't forget to comment down below. Let me know your thoughts while I talk to you through this video. And subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to get us on that hype leaderboard. Now, let's start with Barcelona first, because I do watch Barcelona more than Liverpool, but obviously I do keep a keen eye on Liverpool, especially with their performances and also how they're going to fare before we face them in the Champions League. But with El Clasico just gone, we saw Barcelona's main issues. This is not just El Clasico, this is before El Clasico also. Hansi Flick, I think, has not adjusted to the teams that he's playing this season. Barcelona mainly having very poor performances across the majority of the matches. I would say roughly around 90% of matches from Barcelona have been poor. There were really only standout performances, maybe Newcastle away and also Valencia. But apart from that, they have been found out. Tactically, they've been found out. We're looking at teams like Sevilla, who absolutely destroyed Barcelona and didn't make it, obviously, a difficult task on themselves. They absolutely destroyed Barcelona. And they caught them on the counter-attack so many times, with the defensive stability of the team lacking, especially with Inigo Martinez, who left before the beginning of the season. And this is how Barcelona actually moved throughout the whole of this season itself. They were absolutely horrendous at times, and they need to really evaluate themselves, because Hansi Flick himself, he actually has no plan B for Barcelona. When they play each match, there's no plan B. When they're losing or they're down and out, they may do a couple of comebacks here and there, especially like against Levante. But against Sevilla, for example, they did have no answers at all. And in the El Clasico match, we saw Real Madrid completely pressing them from the front, doing everything they can to destabilize the whole team of Barcelona, and it worked. It worked with very much effectiveness, that across the 90 minutes, even though the very first half of Real Madrid was a much more improved, essentially, performance than the second half, look, across the whole 90 minutes, Real Madrid looked like they were in complete control of the match. And it just begs a question: where does Hansi Flick go from here? You let me know in the comments below, where does he go? Because there are so many worrying issues. Of course, injuries is one of them, but players like Yamal, completely out of form, not performing to his highest standard this season. Pedri, not the best this season either, very, very inconsistent. The defense showing troubling signs of always conceding. And Real Madrid, just another example, in the El Clasico, there were several instances in the first half where they could have scored more and should have scored more. But Barcelona, I tell you what, they've been running their luck throughout the whole season, completely riding their luck. And that is also a problem for Liverpool. But with Barcelona itself, they have certain issues that they have to address before, obviously, the heat of the season, before you get into the mix of the season, where Copa del Rey and Champions League and Super Cup of Spain and all these different competitions are played exactly at the same time. Because, look, last season, they were very good in terms of playing style, how they maneuver the ball. But I think this season, Hansi Flick has been found out just in the slightest. His high line, his pressure tactics, in terms of how Barcelona line up with the back four and then the midfield and also the front three, it doesn't bode well for them against certain teams. I could see also teams potentially like Atletico Madrid. I could see teams like Real Betis, Bilbao, different teams who work well in transition. They could actually punish Barcelona very, very much so. Villarreal is part of that group as well. And there are teams in La Liga that can definitely harm Barcelona. But I also think that the quality of La Liga is actually telling a different picture, because the teams in La Liga, I'm going to say it right now, have been extremely poor this season. And it's just elevating Barcelona's stature in terms of La Liga position. Yes, they're second, but is that second really worth it for them when they're actually playing this poor? So that means Barcelona can literally play for poor for the whole season, but still remain in that area, in the second place position. It doesn't really make sense because Villarreal, I'm telling you right now, Villarreal, when we look at it on paper, they look good, but unfortunately they're not. Bilbao, not good either. Real Betis, not good either. There are a string of teams in the top flight of Spain that have been extremely poor, and the quality of the league is so bad that it's inflating Barcelona's actual situation. And they think it's all right, but in the grand scheme of things, maybe the play is good on the eye, but the intensity that a lot of these teams show against Barcelona and the likes of Real Madrid, they falter. When they go down and out, they falter. It's factual. And it's not the same problem with the Premier League. I'm telling you right now, because the Premier League, when you're seeing teams like Sunderland literally competing at the top flight, it's crazy to me, because that's how it is, and that's how it always was. I think over the last few years, essentially, maybe not last year so much because you just saw Liverpool dominating the complete league, but this year, there are something different about the Premier League, and Liverpool is being found out extremely badly. When you're playing teams like Brentford, Crystal Palace, and then obviously losing 4 games in a row, it is very troubling signs for Liverpool. And Arne Slot is in exactly the same boat as Hansi Flick. People are finding out what's happening with Liverpool. They are not the same. They don't look the same. Their defense is completely exposed at all times, and that is a major problem. You're seeing it consistently on a week by week basis. Like Brentford, the amount of counter-attacking opportunities that they had Liverpool in absolute tatters completely throughout the match. And Arne Slot, is definitely to blame for this. Definitely to blame for this, because he's kind of gung-ho football, the more controlled football last year. This year is like, okay, we're going to do as best as we can, and we're going to try and play the most attacking football in the match. But I tell you what, when the Premier League, and you have teams like Brentford, like Crystal Palace, like I said, and like Sunderland, for example, at the top, there's always going to be teams that are going to trouble you. This Premier League season probably the best one that we've seen in recent years because of all the promoted clubs not fighting essentially relegation. That's how it is. They're not fighting completely relegation. What's happening is that there's a very competitive basis towards the Premier League, and Liverpool is getting found out. Look at their position on the table. That's all I need to say. You don't need to say any more than that, because Liverpool as a team, they're struggling. Salah, for all that he's got in terms of goals and assists, he's struggling also. Isak's arrival, I'm telling you right now, that has completely destabilised Liverpool. He has not performed one great match this season, in my eyes. Not one great match. And it's telling. It's definitely telling. You look at Liverpool and the way that they have to accommodate Ekitike and Isak is a major problem. Big problem. And you're going to find this out also, Liverpool fans, when you do face teams, examples in the Champions League. Real Madrid's coming up 4th of November. And obviously, because I support Real Madrid, I know that that team there, Real Madrid at the current state, will probably beat Liverpool, even at Anfield. And it's going to be your biggest test yet. Obviously, you beat Arsenal with obviously a free kick towards the end of the game. We know that from Szoboszlai. But it doesn't really matter. Like, you can compete on that stage, but against the smaller teams is where leagues are won. It's where Premier League titles are won. With Barcelona the same, it's where La Liga titles are won. And Real Madrid and Arsenal, in the same boat here, they're beating all the smaller teams. And it may not be pretty at times, but they're getting the results. Liverpool and Barcelona are not getting the results. They're not. Because Vallecano, I remember when they did play Barcelona in Vallecas, they completely outran them the whole of the match. It was a foregone conclusion without the goals because of one man, Jean Garcia. He saved Barcelona in that game, and he made it look better than it actually is. But Liverpool were the same with Brentford. Just because of their individual quality, the scorelines don't look that bad. But when you count that they've lost 4 times in a row, it is ridiculous. There is something about Liverpool that is not sitting right. And Liverpool fans know it. They are literally in the dumps at the moment, and they have to work it out very soon. Otherwise, you're going to see Arsenal and Man City completely run away with it, and they will have no return answer for that. So Liverpool and Barcelona, trust me, they have both similar problems. Liverpool, I think, in a worse situation. Actually, no, I want to say that. I think Barcelona and Liverpool are in the same situation, just because the league in Spain, La Liga, the teams are horrid at the moment. They are not playing good football. We've seen in the Champions League, every single English side pretty much beat Spanish opposition. We've seen Tottenham beat Villarreal. We've seen Arsenal beat Bilbao. We've seen Arsenal beat Atletico Madrid. We've seen Liverpool, for all their worries, beat Atletico Madrid. That's actually showing what a horrid kind of situation La Liga is in. And I'm going to leave that for the next video, because I'm really worried about the state of La Liga, because if there's no competition, it doesn't allow teams like Real Madrid to actually compete at the highest level first before they go into the Champions League. So when they go in the Champions League, they're going to get a surprise, because they're not adjusting themselves to the Champions League. Can they step it up in the Champions League? Potentially, but that's up to Xabi Alonso to train them in to do that. But guys, obviously, that has been Dave Talks Football. Make sure you actually subscribe. Don't forget to like, comment down below, let me know your thoughts, and get us on the Hype Leaderboard. Make sure you do that also. Guys, take care. Adios. A la Madrid, I would say. And you know, especially after last weekend. And we'll see you next time on another Dave Talks Football. Take care.